Har has had a long-term relationship with Annonas, so I would really like him to share his knowledge about all sorts of Annonas that he has come in contact with and studied over the years. So here's Har.
When I was growing up in the Amazon, we often had juice made from soursop, which in Spanish is called guanábana, and in Brazil, where I was growing up, we called it graviola. So soursop, as the name suggests, is quite tart, but it's also intensely sweet at the same time. The fruit is usually kind of fibrous, sometimes even cottony. You can eat it out of hand, but people usually squeeze out the seeds and put the pulp in a blender and make a nice nectar that's really, really fine. In stores here in the United States, if you go to the Hispanic section and the ethnic aisles, you can often find half a dozen different brands of canned guanábana nectar. If you've never tried that, you should. It's really good. Another fruit that we had, we called biriba. And here in Florida, we usually call it Rollinia. I also call it Amazon custard fruit. I was growing up at an agricultural school, and I was actually put in charge of the orchard crew. And so we took care of quite a few soursop trees and biriba trees, Amazon custard fruit trees. And we had a couple of mountain soursops as well. We were never fond of those. I didn't happen to run into any other related species there when I was a kid, as far as I can recall. Here in Florida, when I started working at Zill Nursery, the old Zill Nursery, I ran into custard apple and ilama, Annona diversifolia, and 2 or 3 other things eventually. Gary Zill there had tried pollinating hybrid Annona, Anatemoya, with pollen from an ilama. And it had made a couple of beautiful plants that one could see from the leaves, and eventually when they flowered, one could see that they were truly a mix of the parents. And he got very enthusiastic about the prospects of an Annona breeding program. And since I was living right at the nursery and would be able to work in the evening when the pollen for most of these was fresh, he taught me how to do hand pollinating. And soon that was my favorite job ever. And pretty soon I was even hand pollinating things that I hadn't been asked to, because it was so fun, so interesting, so new. And I did that for a dozen years, working at Zill's. The only variety that resulted from my breeding work there at Zill's that's been commercially promoted so far is the Lisa Atemoya, that we used to call 48-26, which means that in the experimental field it was in row 48 and plant 26 in the row. But eventually it was named after the company's secretary, Ms. Lisa. The mother tree of that hybrid, also known as a seed parent rather than mother tree, was Annona cherimoya of the Libby variety. And the pollen that I used in the flower I got from the flower of a red sugar variety of Annonas squamosa, sugar apple. We fruited hundreds of new Atemoyas, and that was the only one that would set fruit readily without hand pollination, and the fruit was very tasty and reasonably attractive. Some of the others were just as tasty or even better to my likes, and even prettier, but would never set fruit without hand pollination. So they didn't seem to be the thing to promote commercially.